In Chapter 28 of the Yoga Vasistha, today we will discuss topics such as the body having no creator, the similarity between the waking body and the dream body, the world being a long dream, the bubbles in the ocean, and the futility of grief, and the metaphor of the sky woman. So Rama, my dear disciple, I need you to listen closely. We aren't just embarking on some dry, intellectual exercise today. We're actually undertaking the complete unraveling of reality itself. Through this discourse, which serves as a visual and spiritual explainer of the absolute truth, I'm going to guide you right out of the shadows of ignorance and straight into the light of self-knowledge.
Here's what's on our agenda today. First, the uncreated body. Second, waking and dreamy bodies. Third, the world as a long dream. Fourth, ocean bubbles and grief. Fifth, the sky woman metaphor. And finally, a complete Chapter 28 summary.
Okay, Section 1, the uncreated body. Subtitle, Excerpt 84, verse 12.
Now, Rama, you probably spent your whole life looking at your physical form and the forms of everyone around you, assuming they were meticulously forged by some divine craftsman. Built bone by bone, sinew by sinew. But true detachment? Well, that requires us to pierce right through this physical illusion. In the original Sanskrit context of Excerpt 84, verse 12, the truth is laid bare with absolutely no room for doubt. There is no creator of the body. It is a spontaneous projection of ignorance, lacking absolute reality. What's absolutely crucial to grasp here is that phrase, spontaneous projection of ignorance. It's telling us that there isn't some supreme architect sitting up in the heavens sculpting your physical form. Nope. Instead, the body's just an automatic manifestation of your deep-seated conditioning. It's literally just a shadow cast by the mind's own lack of self-awareness.
So you might be wondering, how can an uncreated thing feel so incredibly heavy, so real, and so painful? To answer that, we really have to understand Maya, the cosmic illusion. Think of a super vivid hallucination, Rama. When a mind hallucinates a roaring fire, it feels the heat, it sees the bright light, and it recoils in real fear. Yet there was no builder who constructed that fire, right? There's no actual wood fueling it. It requires absolutely no external architect. Well, the physical body operates on that exact same principle. It is merely a projection of your conditioned consciousness, made tangible by the sheer force of Maya. You're basically witnessing a mirage and calling it a solid fortress.
Moving right along to Section 2, Waking and Dream Bodies, subtitle Excerpt 85, verses 25 and 26.
Let's take the next logical step here. If the body truly has no creator and is just a projection of Maya, what is its true nature? Look at Excerpt 85, verses 25 and 26. The literal English translation tells us, "The waking body and the dream body are identical in their illusory nature. Both are vivid projections of the mind experiencing them." I want you to hear this with a perfectly tranquil mind, Rama. The mind possesses this astonishing power to project an entire reality, completely outfitted with sensory inputs, gravity, pain, and joy. Just as your mind effortlessly generates a dream body to run through dream forests while you sleep, it generates this waking body to interact with this waking world. The underlying mechanism of projection is absolutely identical.
This brings up a fascinating comparison. While they are identical in their illusory nature, they only differ in their duration and scope. The dream body is projected by your short-term conditioning. It's a private, personal illusion that lasts for just a few fleeting hours. The waking body, on the other hand, is projected by long-term deep karmic conditioning. It's part of a collective illusion, a shared hallucination, which gives it this totally false sense of permanence and stability. But scientifically and philosophically, the equivalence remains completely unbroken. Both feel entirely real, solid, and undeniable to the experiencer in that exact moment. And crucially, Rama, both vanish without a single trace the second you awaken from their respective states.
Let's dive into Section 3, World as a Long Dream. Subtitle, Excerpt 86, verses 27 and 28.
Follow this logical chain with me, Rama. If your physical waking body is fundamentally a dream construct, then the universe it inhabits, the ground you walk on, the trees, rivers, empires, and stars must necessarily be woven from the exact same dream-like substance. I mean, the container can't be more real than the thing contained, right? Let's examine Excerpt 86, verses 27 and 28. The direct translation reads, "This vast universe is but a long dream, an extended illusion perceived by the slumbering consciousness." What an incredibly profound and liberating realization. And this isn't just poetry, Rama, it's the ultimate physics of reality. The consciousness of the universe has basically fallen into a slumber of ignorance, and in that slumber it's dreaming up the cosmos. Every galaxy, every war, every triumph, and every tragedy is all occurring right within the theater of this protracted cosmic dream.
Let's map this out to make it crystal clear. We actually move through distinct stages. Deep sleep is the seed state, where the illusion is unmanifested but superpotent. The nightly dream is the mind's brief, private playground of projection. Then we have the waking state, what mortals insist on calling real life, which is simply the protracted, collective, long dream of the world. Interestingly, even modern scientific thought kind of echoes this ancient wisdom, recognizing that the reality you experience is ultimately just a construct generated by the brain interpreting signals. But the final stage, ultimate nirvana, is the grand awakening. That's the moment consciousness opens its true eyes to the absolute, non-dual truth, rendering the entire long dream completely obsolete.
Which brings us to Section 4, Ocean Bubbles and Grief. Subtitle, Excerpt 87, verse 57.
So if the world is a long dream, how is a wise person supposed to navigate it? How should we react to the inherent tragedies, the inevitable losses, and the destruction of forms that happens literally every single day? I pose this question directly to you, Rama. Why shed tears for a reality that is fundamentally a dream? Think about it. When you wake up from a nightly dream where you lost a fortune or face some huge tragedy, you don't spend your waking day weeping over a phantom loss. You instantly recognize its unreality. Why then do you weep for the losses within this long dream? Grasping this concept is the master key to unlocking total detachment. It just completely reveals the utter futility of mortal sorrow.
Verse 57 captures this beautifully. Forms arise and perish like bubbles on the surface of the ocean. Grieving for them is the height of futility. Let's look at the literal meaning here. Individuals, kingdoms, eras, and events, they are all just temporary, super fragile bubbles frothing on the infinite, boundless ocean of Brahman, the supreme consciousness. A bubble's whole nature is to form, float for a second, and burst. To expect a bubble to somehow remain permanent is just the deepest kind of ignorance. So the most crucial point to take away is this. Grieving for a popped bubble is ignorance of the eternal ocean. When a bubble bursts, what's actually lost? The water hasn't disappeared, has it? No, it's simply returned to the ocean. The essence is never lost, only the temporary form. Impartially speaking, understanding this non-dualistic truth completely frees us from the paralyzing grip of grief. We aren't denying the bursting of the bubble, but we absolutely refuse to forget the eternal nature of the water. Your loved ones, your possessions, your very identity, they are simply the water of consciousness temporarily wearing the shape of a bubble. Now for Section 5, the Sky Woman Metaphor. Subtitle, Excerpt 89, verse 84.
This brings us to our final and perhaps most piercing realization. If the world is a dream and loss is just the popping of bubbles, well, who is the I that feels this futile grief? Look closely at Excerpt 89, verse 84. The literal translation states, "The grieving ego is as unreal as a woman made of the empty sky, a mere trick of words without substance." In the original Sanskrit, this perfectly mirrors the philosophical truth we established at the very beginning regarding the uncreated body. Just as the body has no creator, the suffering ego has no actual substance. It's a phantom experiencing a phantom world.
Let's really unpack this Akash Kamini, the Sky Woman. It's an allegorical impossibility. I mean, try to sculpt a woman out of the empty blue sky. You can't. The sky is completely void of form. If someone claims to see a woman made of sky, you know for a fact it's an optical illusion, a trick of the mind. In that exact same way, you cannot construct a true, independent self out of the emptiness of Maya. The individual ego, the I that feels slighted, the I that mourns, the I that fears death, is a sky woman. It appears to exist, it appears to suffer, but upon real investigation, it's composed of absolute nothingness. The story of the Sky Woman and the philosophy of non-duality are of equal importance here. They both point to the stunning revelation that your suffering is happening to a you that doesn't even exist.
Finally, Section 6, Chapter 28 Summary. Subtitle, The Sequential Unraveling of Reality.
Rama, it's time to distill all these profound takeaways and summarize the entire logical progression of Canto 28. This right here is a precise formula for achieving nirvana. Let's review the chain of detachment we forged today. First, the physical body has no divine creator. It's a mere spontaneous projection of ignorance. Second, because it's a projection, the waking state is functionally identical to the dream state. Third, following that logic, the entire material world you inhabit is nothing but a protracted, long dream of slumbering consciousness.
Fourth, grieving for the events within this dream is utterly futile, just like crying over the popping of fragile ocean bubbles while ignoring the eternal water. And fifth, the ultimate truth. The ego that feels this grief, the I that claims to be suffering, is as unreal as a woman made of empty sky. True salvation, nirvana, is achieved when you deeply and irrevocably grasp this sequential chain.
And so, I leave you with this final, piercing inquiry, designed to spark ultimate self-knowledge. Look inward, past the illusion, past all the projections. Knowing now that the body is uncreated, knowing that the entire world is but a fleeting dream, and knowing that the ego itself is an impossible sky woman. Who is left to grieve, Rama? Awaken to your true self, for the ocean is eternal,